the round 3 of the North American Youth Championships, I chose the following game that I felt was kind of had a nice tactical idea towards the end that definitely impressed me, and I feel that the viewers might enjoy as well. The players started with the Sicilian Knight-Dwarf variation, bishop e3, and I think there's a lot of theory here, which I'm not the most knowledgeable about, and I apologize. But the type of position that resulted from it was similar to something I am quite knowledgeable about, and that is kind of a King's Indian pawn structure, where white has more space on the queen side, black is getting some space on the king side. They castle, the c-file is opened, opposite side castling, lots of attacking ideas for both sides. And I really liked how both players approach this position. Of course, c4 is the kind of move you want to make with white because you have more space and you're thinking you do want to play c5. Black castled, bishop d3, a5. So this move I liked because in a way, you know, you're trying to chase this knight away, you're trying to secure a potential knight in c5. You just want to make sure that white will not have a breakthrough with this. But you know, because your king is in g8 and you played h5, the typical plans with f5 might be a bit hard to do. So you are going to focus actually on an attack towards the queen side, right? So a5 is very natural. Both players now are kind of trying to combine a defensive approach and attacking, but to opposite sides than you normally see in the King's Indian. a4, knight d2. I was showing here earlier the importance of bringing the knight to d2 to control the e4 square. Maybe you'll place the knight there, though, you know, in case of a trade, your bishop might end up locked, so you have to think very well what you do about that. But what I was saying is that white needs to be mindful about this a3 and opening up the long diagonal with e4. And now after rook c8, knight e4, everything got traded. And, well, not everything, just a couple of pieces. And now white played queen e2, which had been a surprise to me because obviously this pawn is hanging, right? And there's b5 idea, so you do need to move the queen. But personally, I would have chosen queen d2. I feel that this makes a bit more sense to what white wants to do. Just focus on a kingside attack. So when I saw in this position queen e2, I was a bit surprised, but it kind of worked out for white because black felt that they had to play this move b5 in order to continue the attack and open up files. But that just gave up a pawn, and it wasn't clear how black was going to get it back immediately. So instead of that, black would have tried maybe a3 first, you know, b3, and now that you know that b3 is played, you can think of a way to open up this diagonal somehow, you know, some e4 at some point in time, maybe knight d7, knight c5, f5. I don't know how good f5 is. Maybe not that. But definitely this move, and then you got to figure out how you're going to get that b5, and maybe knight e8, knight e, knight c7, though it would allow some g4. Yeah, like, it's not so easy. It's not as easy as it looks, but definitely some kind of ideas there. Maybe you just don't do. Maybe you just sit here a bit, king h7, or maybe we need to bring the queen into play. Maybe queen c7 to try to bring the queen back into play. I mean, there's various moves that black can do here in order to improve. I mean, I would love to go for e4, but we can't give up that pawn just yet, I think. So we have to figure out how to make it work the best. I haven't quite come up with the decision myself, but originally I was planning to bring the knight, but maybe it wasn't the best. Maybe now b5, though, you know, that would just be transposing. But the way things happen, so b5 right here. Oh yeah, okay, never mind. b5 now is actually better because when you take, when you take, I can take, and I'm certain knight c3. But in the game, it didn't work because after a3, white did not have to play b3. That would transpose to this line. I even forgot. It's been a while since I seen this game, a few hours ago. But b6, this was a brilliant idea that Sarat found in a way. He basically said, okay, fine, I'm getting attacked a bit here. I did not plan on this. I misjudged black's ideas. But if I play b6, now, you know, I should be fine after takes because this pawn is the shield in white's position. It's there, you have it, but I won't take it. I'm gonna let you have the pawn, keep it, but it's not gonna affect the way I feel about my king. My king is totally safe. For me, however, I got this pawn in b6 that's definitely going for some, you know, nice attacking ideas. So, you know, I was feeling kind of, you know, comfortable, I think. So black should not have taken in b2, but it's hard to not take there, you know, when you play this. This was definitely the way to go. But let's see what happened, because the game switched very fast in white's favor. After pawn takes b2, bishop a6 with tempo, you need to move the rook. Now b7, and basically, look at that. The pawn that maybe you didn't expect was going to do anything, it was just going to be there, suddenly got to b7. And probably black thought, okay, there's no big deal about that pawn. I can just take in a6, take the bishop in e3. I got two minor pieces. I should be able to stop that pawn, no worries. If you go queen a8, which actually happened, I'm going to go knight d7. My queen is safe. I got my rook active. If you take in b2, I don't know what I'm going to do. Some checks, e4 checks, rook e2, so many things. The position would be awesome. But this was my moment, not my moment, the white's moment. A beautiful move in this position that helps white really seal the deal, because normally you're thinking there's no progress. White's kind of stuck with the queen in a8. The knight managed to defend the queen. How is white gonna progress? You can't go a4, right? Because rook b3, that pawn will be captured. So what are you gonna do? And this is the moment where the move, my favorite move, happened. The gorgeous move, rook to c1. I hope you take a time to really enjoy this move that white played here, rook to c1, because now, you know, you're giving up one rook, but there's a second one. As soon as that's captured, black promotes first. Sure thing, we don't care. The other rook comes in, and right now white is down 2 pieces. But there's nothing that black can do to stop rook c8. He has attempted, you know, moving the king away, but again, rook c8 comes into play. And from here on, it was just a matter of technique for white to convert the position, because it wins the queen and, you know, queen for 2 minor pieces, but there's no pawn for black that could actually create some struggles. And, you know, just to kind of finish off the game, I'll play the moves fast. I don't think there's a need to continue doing commentary on this part of the game, but I was just super excited about the move rook c1 that, you know, kind of changed everything for white. And there was probably something that black missed, but it's such a gorgeous idea that we often forget about. Hanging piece, that was the theme of that game. And you know, you could see how from an attacking point of view, where it's clear you're gonna take advantage of the opponent's king, how easily things can change. So you always have to make sure you consider opponents' ideas when you make your decisions. Now, in this particular round, there was another position that I was quite excited about, and I want another cut for that. So I'm just gonna find that moment, because I thought it was a very nice learning experience in a rook endgame, and that will be another position that I hope will end in a video. I'm only gonna focus on this position from the endgame part. So this happened, right, again in round 3 of the North American Youth Championships in the open section under 16. And this is an endgame where black is up a pawn, rook endgame, definitely trying to improve and win. but the way you do it is super important, because if you miss a potential activity for white, there's a big chance that you might get a draw instead of getting your win, which you want to, of course. So in this endgame, right, white does not really have any weaknesses, but you got an extra pawn. White is trying to cut you off so that the king doesn't reach the side of the board where the majority is, to help push it forward and have the chance to win. And it is in this position that it does matter where black trades the rook. And in this game, Henry made a mistake in not realizing that there could be an issue which led to the game in the end finishing in a draw. So my approach was rook c8 in this position to get uncut and bring the king into the game. As soon as the rook moves, rook d2, for example, we bring the king. We can go rook d8 after. The king needs to come on this side of the board and support the pawns. I'm not saying this is winning, but it would have given black the most chances to try to play for a win. In the game, instead, what happened is Henry chose to go for rook d6. King f3, a very nice defensive idea found by Leo, and rook c6. And the reason this is a mistake, normally you would say, what? A mistake? Black should want to trade rooks and get in the king and pawn endgame. And Sabina, you already told us the king is coming towards the king side. So why could this move be a mistake? Well, the reason is white's king now is more active than black's king, and because of that can help create counterplay on the king side and trade off those pawns to lead to a draw. And let's see the beautiful way that white found to save this position. After pawn takes, king e4, threatening king f5, and you got to be careful not to lose even here, because if the king infiltrates to g6, it's gonna be game over. So g6 is the only move for black to stop the entrance of the king, and now the right move for white. White, since there's no entrance, right? If you sit and do nothing, the king will approach and the extra pawn will win the game for black. But white found this move, f4. Now after f4, we're threatening to win the pawn. Black's king is still too far, cannot make it to d6. So the trade is inevitable, right? Pawn takes, and now pawn takes f4. Another important and sole move that would draw the game. If king takes, it would allow black to approach with the king, and now, you know, g4 will not cause any issues. I think we can just take and bring the king, and black is winning. So in this position, pawn takes. Now normally, if the king were closer, we could play f5, chase this king away, and things would be fine. But if we go f5 here, king e5, oopsie, guess it's white who's winning now. So we can't do that. Therefore, Henry's bringing his king closer, and now Leo found the move that saves the game, and that is the move f5, forcing another trade of pawns. Of course, if you capture, king takes, and now white is again the one who wins, because once that pawn is captured, we take this. There's no passed pawn here for black to help him do anything in the game. And now after f5, g5 is the only move, and takes, and it's a bit like unexpected to see that white actually saves this, because these are two connected passed pawns, right? These are connected. You will never be able to take them. This king is in the box of the f pawn, right? This is the box. Oops, let's make the box so that you guys can clearly see it. This is the box. Black's king is inside the box. It's gonna stop the pawn. How is this a draw, you may ask? Well, very simple, because it's not just the pawn that is going to get the draw. We also have the king's help, and because we have the king's help, we're able to save this game. g4 was played. If you go king e8, of course, you have to be careful, because you might even lose after king g6. King g6, important, threaten king g7 and promote. So you need to go king f8, and now we don't take the g pawn. No, we take the h pawn. And you think you got it? Nope. Suddenly it's white who wins. So quite a bit of traps in this endgame you have to be careful for with black. So black needs to play g4 now, and king g6. Now after king g6, white's threatening king g7. So black has no way for this king to make it in front of the pawn. You have to push, and now both players promote in the same time. Black promotes with check and has the opportunity to win one of those pawns. However, you know, the endgame will be a draw, because as soon as you take b2, we got this check. We're also taking a7. And from here on, you know, all you have to do with white is just make sure that the king comes close enough. You can trade the queens, and just the queens were traded, getting into the king and pawn endgame. And in the end, the game ended in a draw.